Hey there everybody, James here, and back with another watch review, and this is a special one, y'all. Something that I never thought that I would have the opportunity to own, but it is here. So this is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Ultra Thin Perpetual Calendar Enamel, and we're going to talk about what makes this dial so special in a second here. But let's run through some basic stats on the watch to start out. So this was a limited release in 2019 of 100 pieces. It's made in white gold. The reference is Q13035E1. The size is the same as their current Master Ultra Thin catalog, so 39 millimeter case. We've got a thickness of 10.5 millimeters. 21 millimeters between the lugs, and then it's 46 millimeters from lug to lug. So that's the lug to lug dimension there. The movement, just to show that right away, if I can get it in frame here, you can see right there, it's the 868, and this is the second generation 868 movement. So with an extended power reserve of 70 hours, as opposed to on the older versions of this watch, they had the first generation, which was about half that. So they've doubled the power reserve for the newer Master Ultra Thin line. The vibrations per hour, 28.8, so it's a 4 hertz beat rate, and you can see the balance moving away there. And it does have a water resistance of 50 meters, so not that you would really use this as a swimming watch, but if it gets wet, you'll probably still be okay. So that's nice about this piece. A little bit more than your typical dress standard. So let's get it on the wrist here. Again, my wrist, pretty small on the small side, about 6 inches in circumference. So you can kind of see what it looks like on the wrist, and man, the dial just shimmers so well. It is unbelievable, and you can see all these different colors from, light kind of sky blue to like a dark, not quite navy blue. It's a little bit more green, like an aquamarine kind of color. But, and then you got like silvers in there, just absolutely incredible shine to this dial. So let's talk a little bit about it. The first customization that I have made already, as usual, if you've watched my videos before, I did change out the original strap on this. The original one is kind of just an aquamarine color. It's this guy right here. So it's not quite a navy blue. Like I say, it's a little bit of a greener blue. But I opted out of that because, again, I always love to match my straps to the dial. And so this is actually a deluxe strap. This is the Glossy Lagoon Blue is what it's called. And I just thought that it picks up on the colors really nicely and kind of, gets that silvery light blue element in there with the stitching and the, the scaling, or the little space in between the scales, I should say. Gets you a nice contrast between those. So let's talk about this dial, because this is really the star of the show here. So what we have going on with this watch is this is a guilloche dial. So this is hand cut using a rose lathe, where they cut into it radially, so they make basically stripes from the center, from under the canyon pinion here, all the way out to the edge, and they cut each line in there 3 times to give it the right texture. So they do that across the whole dial. And then for this one, which is really unique, they have to obviously cut out the moon phase portion down at the bottom here in order for it to display properly. The other unique thing, there's just so much about this dial. Then they also do another cut to make what's called a clou de Paris, or a hobnail pattern, or it's a pyramid in the sub-registers, at 9 and 12 and 3. So just a lot going on just in that. So even just to stop there, that's all the hand guilloche that they do on this dial. Then after that, they do a process called enameling. And what they do is they take ground glass. So they take glass and grind it up into powder in different colors, in this case obviously blue, and then they paint the dial with that and bake it in an oven for up to 15 minutes at a time to make sure that all the elements just come together nicely to get the right look on the dial. And this is also really hard to do because when you have an opening in the dial, if you have that enamel that's so hot, you have to create a little edge around the opening here. Otherwise, what will happen is you'll get the enamel flowing into the aperture. And then obviously, you know, that'll ruin the dial. So these dials take anywhere from 2 to 3 days to make just a single dial on it. Just absolutely incredible. You know, and typically when you do guilloche on a dial, it's going to be on something that's completely flat. You're not going to do it on a dial that has openings for, you know, say a you know, millennium and date. And you're not going to do it on something that has a moon phase on it. So, you know, and this is part of a series of 3 that they did in 2019. There's a moon phase watch, there's this perpetual calendar, and then there's a tourbillon watch as well. So really, really difficult to do and just unbelievably impressive from Jaeger-LeCoultre. One of the reasons that I really was just astounded by this watch and what goes into it. All the rest of it, white gold. So the indices here are embedded into there. They cut little holes in there, and then they, you know, attach it that way rather than adhering it to the dial, because it's not good for the enamel long term. So, yeah, and then it's a perpetual calendar. So you can see they've got the date, we've got the month, you have the century and the year, and then you have the day. And then at 6 o'clock, we have, you know, you'll see moon phases on JLCs, but this is kind of a unique one because it has not only a phase of the moon over here, but also an age of the moon. And basically, as you can see, it runs on about a 29.5 day cycle there, which hence the 29.5 at the bottom. And then the actual moon phase indicator on the back. So you're really getting a lot of information about the moon at 6 o'clock here, which is pretty awesome also. So yeah, I mean, you have these Dauphine style hands that are half polished, half frosted. So you can see there's contrast on there. Makes it really a lot easier to see, you know, so one is polished and one is frosted, which is great. And then there's also this little aperture back here that's white right now. So that's an AM PM indicator, and you can see the hands have a little cut in the right at the start of them there. That will tell you when you cannot set the perpetual calendar mechanism. So basically, when you get to, you know, later at night, the indicator will go from white to red, and that's your sign or you know, indicator that you can't set the perpetual calendar. So that is what we have in terms of the dial. That's what we have in terms of complications. You can see the Swiss made at the bottom, and I'm telling you, just the colors on this dial are just spectacular. So white gold case, white gold indices. You got the chapter rings also in white gold. And just the different styles of guilloche really, really do a lot for me on this piece. Just unbelievably beautiful. So, again, to turn it over to the Caseback real quick, you can see what we have here. We've got some nice Côte de Genève on both the 22 karat gold winding rotor. That's a unidirectional rotor with ceramic bearings, so you can hear it. It is, I'm trying to see if you can hear it in the video there. I'm not sure if you can, but it is a little bit. It's not as loud as the 39, because if you look back at my reviews, I had the black version, basically just kind of the plain standard black version of this watch. And that did also have ceramic rotor bearings, and it was a little bit louder. This one is a tad bit quieter. You can't hear it as much. It's almost more like a buzzing when it rotates. So it is a little bit quieter on that front. You've got these amazing blue fired screws back here, you know, some black polishing in the winding system. And then, yeah, just really nice, you know, perlage down there that you can see right behind the balance wheel. And then, yeah, you know, Côte de Genève as well. So just a lot of really nice detail, you know, 46 jewels here you can see. And then these, you know, the name for the Master Ultra Thins comes from the Master Control test that they do. So it's a 1,000 hour test. It's actually got a little indicator. Kind of hard to see it, but it is right there. It says control, JL control, basically. So going through the master control test, which is a 1,000-hour test where they case up the movement, and then they test it for all sorts of things like water resistance, power reserve, accuracy. Pretty amazing watch all around. So that is this piece. Truly has been a grail for me for quite a while. And I was able to find one and make this happen, so could not recommend it more. If you can find one, like I said, there are 3 in the series that they released for SAHH 2019. There's a video online where you can see the 3 if you are interested. But yeah, just truly grateful to be an owner of this piece. It's pretty fantastic. And the perpetual calendar system is the Klaus system. So essentially, as long as you set the number of the day of the month, everything else moves in sync. So you can see this is the only pusher adjuster on the entire watch. So you don't need to, worry about coordinating, like, is it December? Do I have to set it to Monday? You don't have to worry about any of that. This is programmed out to the year 2100, so you got plenty of time. And if it ever stops working and you need to advance it, you just use your pusher adjuster to move the date. That will advance the month, the day, and the moon phase, all in the age and the phase of the moon all at the same time. So it's all programmed in there, which is just another reason to love this watch. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoy this. This is just a spectacular piece. I'm looking forward to getting some more wrist time with it. And, I hope you find the watches that you're looking for out in this watch journey, because it is a whole lot of fun. And the only thing that matters is that you love the watch. So fall in love with what you want and go and get it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.